All right, this video is for 5.4b, parallel and perpendicular lines. Those are particular specific situations of linear equations that you've already sort of been dealing with, so this shouldn't be too hard. Find the equation of the line that passes through the point -1, 4, and that is parallel to the line with the given equation y equals 2. So if you want a line parallel to this, that means the equation is going to look the same, which will be y equals something. And in this case, we need it to go through this point -1, 4, so y has to be equal to 4. That's all there is to this. Parallel to x equals -4, so that'll be x equals the x coordinate here, 5. Parallel to the y-axis through the point 7, 0. So what helps me here is to jot down what this is going to look like. So here's my y-axis. Here's my x-axis. Parallel to y means vertical. And what does that equation look like? Well, my y can slide up and down, but my x is fixed at this number, whatever that is. So it's going to look like x equals something. In this case, x has to be 7. Oops. All right, perpendicular. So that's going to be the opposite, okay? So if it said parallel to the equation x equals 3, that would be x equals 4. But in this case, it's perpendicular to that, so it wants the y equals. In other words, it's going to be a horizontal line through this point. So y has to equal 2. All right, determine whether these pair of lines is parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So what we need to know in order to answer that is the slope of those two lines. So I need to put both of those equations into this form so that I can identify the slope. So if I solve this first one for y, I'm going to minus x from both sides, and I'm going to get y equals -1x plus 5, or -x plus 5, okay? Got to do the same thing with the second one. So that was the first one. The second one is -4x plus 4y is 3. So I'm going to add 4x to both sides. So this guy goes away, and I have 4y equals 4x plus 3. And I write it in that order so that it looks like this instead of 3 plus 4x. Divide everything by 4. So y equals 1x plus 3/4. So I need to compare their slopes. So the slope of this first line is -1. And the slope of this second line is +1. So they're not the same. So it's not parallel. So we have to check, is it perpendicular? Well, remember that perpendicular is where the slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. Okay, so I can write this one as -1 over +1, and I can write this one as +1 over +1. So they are opposites and they are reciprocals. So it is perpendicular. This was a little bit hard to see because 1 and -1, it's hard to see that those are negative reciprocals, but if you put them into this form, and because the top number is 1 and the bottom number is 1, as long as they're opposites, they're perpendicular. All right, parallel. So in other words, I want the same slope as this line. Well, this line, if I simplify it, if it will let me type on my screen, why is it not letting me do that? Huh, won't let me write on my screen anymore. So if I divide both sides by 3, I will have y equals negative 1/3. So that's the format of y equals something, and I want parallel. So I want y equals something here as well. In this case, y has to be 0. All right. Parallel to this line. So I need to look at this line and determine what the slope is. And if you recall, this is written in point slope form, where this is x1, y1, and m for your slope. So my slope of this line is 1/2. Parallel means I want the slope of this line that goes through this point to also be 1/2. I would like it to let me type. I'm sorry, it's not. So it's going to be y minus 5 equals 1/2 times x minus 1. I'm plugging it into that same format. Although I have to make sure, is it asking me to leave it in point slope form? It doesn't tell me what form to leave it. So why would I change it if I can leave it in this form? Let's see, x minus 1. So you see how I did that? It's the same slope because it's parallel, but I just plugged in the 0.15 instead of the 0.2 negative 3. All right, same thing, but this time they want perpendicular. So the slope I want is going to be the negative reciprocal of this. This one is positive 1 over positive 2. The negative reciprocal of that is negative 2 over positive 1, or just negative 2. And we want it through this point. So it's going to start as y minus 4. And remember, I want the perpendicular slope to this. So negative 2 over 1, or just negative 2. X minus 1. All right, same thing here, only this is already given to you in y equals mx plus b form. So my m is negative 2/3. I want parallel. So this m is also going to be negative 2/3. But I'm going through a point here, and it doesn't tell me how I have to write that equation. So I'm going to write it in point slope form. So I'm going to have y minus negative 4, or y plus 4. And we'll see if it will let us answer it in this format. Slope here is negative 2/3. And it'll be x minus negative 4, so x plus 4. Let's see if it'll take it like that. Yep, so we don't even have to convert it. All right, perpendicular to the x-axis. Well, remember our x-axis is the horizontal line, okay, which means x can slide along, but y is fixed. So that's going to be a y equals, but we want perpendicular. So we want the x equals version. X equals what? Negative 5. All right, perpendicular to this, so we're going to have to solve this for y equals mx plus b. And I don't believe it's going to let me write on the screen. Yes, it is. Yay. All right. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. Negative 3y equals negative x plus 3. Divide by negative 3 everywhere. So positive 1/3 x minus 1. So the slope of this guy is 1, because there's a 1 there, 1/3. And I want perpendicular. So my slope is going to be negative 3 over 1, or just negative 3. And it's going to go through that point, and it doesn't tell me the format. So I can do it in this easy format. Y minus negative 3 equals m, x minus positive 2. Y plus 3, negative 3, x minus 2. Y plus 3, negative 3. I'm not going to remember this. X plus 2, is that what it was? Let's see. No. Minus 2. Am I going to have to pause and work it out? Yay. Okay, good. All right. Where are we on time? 10 minutes. Okay, we've got 5 more minutes. We should be fine. So this one, we want perpendicular to this line. So we've got to find the slope of that line and then do the negative reciprocal of it. And then the same y-intercept as this line. So I got to solve for b out of this line. All right, so this is a little bit involved. It has 2 steps. So first I'm going to find the slope of this first line. Whoops, that's a minus. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. Divide by negative 6. This negative 2 divided by negative 6 reduces to 1/3. All right, so this slope of this line is 1/3, but I want perpendicular. So my slope is going to be negative 3/1, which simplifies to negative 3. All right, so this guy, the y-intercept here is my b. So I need to solve this for y equals mx plus b. So take away 4x from both sides. And divide by negative 5. That becomes a plus 1. So that's the b I want. So mine is going to be y equals negative 3x plus 1. See if I can remember that. Excellent. And again, I know I'm going super fast because I need to fit this video into 15 minutes or it will cut me off. And you can stop and rewind and rewatch as much as you need. So parallel to this guy, so I need the slope from him and then through that point. So I got to solve this guy for y to find the slope. So I'm going to add 2/3 x to both sides. And I'm going to get 2y equals 2/3 x minus 16/3. Then I'm going to divide everything by 2, which is the same thing as multiplying by 1/2, right? Those are the same. Sorry how messy it is. So I'm going to have y equals, so 2/3 times 1/2. My 2's will cancel and I get 1/3 x minus something. I don't even care. I don't need to do that because I just need the slope from this line. And it's parallel, so my slope is the same, 1/3. And then through 2. So it'd be y minus 2 equals 1/3 x minus 1. Y minus 2, 1/3 x minus 1. Y minus 2, 1/3. Whoops. I'm never going to remember it. X minus 1. Oh dear. All right, let's see if that's right. Oh, good. Okie dokie. So first they want slope of a line that's parallel and then perpendicular. So we just need to solve for slope here. Solve for slope. So add 3x to both sides. Divide by negative 7. Remember, I don't care about my b. I just need the slope. So it'll be 3 over negative 7 or negative 3/7. Is that plus something? So the slope of the parallel is negative 3/7. So that means that the perpendicular is going to be the negative reciprocal of that. So positive 7/3. All right, parallel. So we want this same slope, negative 2/3, and it goes through this point. So it's going to be y minus negative 2 or y plus 2. Same slope, so negative 2/3. X, where are we? Minus 2. All right, last one. These are my points.